ginseng.
All right, peace, peace, peace. Greetings, family. Greetings, greetings, greetings to everyone. This is Professor Griff, and of course, this is Arm the Masses. All right, brought to you by Black Power Media Reloaded. Shout out to my man, Kalanji, Jabba Changa. Always in the building. His spirit is always in the building. I ain't had him here yet. I don't know when he's gonna come through and get on live with me. I don't know. You know, I gotta kind of have my people contact his people to contact his people to contact him. So I'm just saying, he's that important. So I'm just saying for the little peasants that are down here. Anyway, Mr. Davey D in the building. What's going on, man? How you feel, good bro? All right. Now that's a pleasant surprise, Mr. Davey D. All right, greetings, everyone. Once again, this is Arm the Masses. All right, and this is Professor Griff. And of course, the flip side of this thing, way over here to the right, is Serious Minds Are in TV, and we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving. We should be calling it Thanks-taking, but Thanksgiving, the whole idea of it, through the lens of our Native American brothers and sisters, is a day of mourning. All right, so we're going to figure out how we're going to approach this particular conversation, and of course, anytime you have this conversation, it would kind of come off like you're stepping on some toes, but the truth must be told. Shout out to Quan S. What's good with you, Quan? Quan is in the building. I'm thinking Quan might have a day off, y'all. So, all right, give thanks. So everybody, let me know where you checking in from, and then we can kind of start this discussion. It would be a beautiful thing if we can do that. All right, all right. So the question now is, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Of course, Davey D checking in all the way from the West Coast. All right. All right. Davey D checking in from the West Coast. Pontiac, Michigan. That's the first. That's new. Pontiac, Michigan's in the building. Roxbury, The Rock. All right. All right. Boston is in the building. Beantown. All right. Where you at? And good afternoon to you, Natural L. Charlotte, North Carolina is in the building. You said warm up, I know, because it's getting cold outside, and New Orleans in the building. All right. Who else? Boston, Mass. Damn, Boston is showing up like a fat rat in a cheese factory. All right. Shout out to everyone on IG over here, and shout out to everyone on Facebook and YouTube. Quan S is in the building. All right. Fayetteville, North Carolina is in the building. New Jerusalem is in the building. All right. Chi-town, the Chi. Somebody said Alaska. Now you know you need to. Now you need to stop. Alaska ain't in the damn building. Somebody said Alaska. 6-1. Damn, Boston, Beantown. What's up, man? All right. Let me tell you something, man. Raleigh, North Carolina's in the building. Once again, Davey D, man, does a degree of journalism that's just, him, Kalanji, there's a few other people I can mention. They just do a level of journalism that's truly, through the lens that I'm looking through, is unmatched, man. There's some other people that's out there doing the damn thing. They're just not coming to mind right now. But when I think of Davey D and, his little microphone, when I sat in front of him, we had to swap out the batteries, change the cord, move the screen, hit it, kick it, elbow it, throw it down, flip it up, toss it to one another, and then it worked. So we made it happen. But Davey D makes it happen for real. Trust me. All right. Anyway, in the meantime, between time, this is Thanks-taking, a day of mourning. Did I say? Keep it up. So that's a dog face? Man, I'll pick this camera up and turn it your way.
Before the colonizers came.
And so they said we eating today before the colonizers came. Dad.
That's what I do every year.
Right.
Celebrate today, mourn tomorrow.
Celebrate today and mourn tomorrow. I hear you. All right, shout out to Guy, Gas Tactical. All right, so this should be an interesting conversation. So we're going to dive right into it. And should be kind of set it off by doing a few things. And hopefully we could have a conversation. No, Jason, we're going to get into that. Jason said it's amazing how many people overlook how many millions of Black Native Americans were massacred for their land. And yes, I mean Black. All right, Black Americans. All right. It's sad how many of your customs and your language was lost. I hope I don't sound sarcastic. No, you're not sounding sarcastic, not on here, because that's a conversation that we need to have, Mr. Jason. All right, it's a beautiful thing. So we're going to dive into that subject right now as we speak. So if you're kind of looking in my background, as you see some messy stuff and some stuff that's unplugged and right here, right there, and some other stuff, don't mind me. I'm in the middle of getting this project done, so I'm trying to make it happen. All right. So anyway, let's dive into this talk. Let's talk. Let me see. I think we are here, and I think we need to start it.
Raising their voices to be heard after feeling silenced for centuries.
Why do we gather today? 400 years later, we join to raise our voices high that we are still here. We are not conquered and we are not defeated.
As many were enjoying the Thanksgiving parade, Indigenous people of Massachusetts protested the holiday that for them is not one to celebrate.
Plymouth is rich with history, but not the truth of the Indians.
Our presence here is a stark reminder of the true story of Thanksgiving that differs from so much from the fable story shared in classrooms, history books, and celebrations across this nation.
Since 1970, the Wampanoag tribe has declared Thanksgiving a national day of mourning for the loss of Indigenous people, culture, and land.
We will never forget the atrocities that fell upon our people as a result of their violent trespass.
Still today, the Wampanoag tribe continues to fight with the federal government over land.
Here we are about to celebrate Thanksgiving, and the fact that our tribe is still fighting for a little bit of land that we have. We own half of 1% of our ancestral territory. And 400 years later, we don't have much to be thankful for.
Well, we can't change the past, but what we can do is change the future. And the way that we change the future is to educate people and start understanding that this is not a day of celebration. This is a day of mourning.
Raising their voices.
All right. She said we cannot change the past, but we can change the present in order to affect the future. Hold on, let me change this light. All right. So we can't change the past, but we can change the present so it'll affect the future. Very well put. And I'm saying to you, and please don't take this the wrong way, anyone. And if you're out there, and if you're a lot smarter than I am, then I think you are. Can you please pull Professor Griff's scarf and correct me on this? She said we cannot change the past, but we can change the present in order to affect the future. So I'm saying to you, we can change the past. We can change the past in the history books. We can change the past in the people's minds. We can change the past on how they once thought about Native Americans, tribes, Black Native American tribes, history on how it has been rewritten to make the colonizer seem like the colonizer is actually the victim. All right. The whole idea of the lies that were told and put in history books to affect what's going on today. The vast majority of people do not have a healthy respect or understanding of history when it comes to Thanksgiving. The Native American people. What happened prior to the colonizer coming to the United States of America? All right. So we can change the past in the history books and in the minds and hearts of the people. All right. That may not be your perspective. That's just through the lens that Professor Griff is looking through. Please work with me, fam. Work with me. All right? Just work with me.
When I think of Thanksgiving, what comes to mind is not thankfulness or a big turkey. What I think of is far more important and serious. Every year at the end of November, families all across the United States celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday. This occasion has evolved into a time of expressing gratitude and sharing a bountiful meal with family. Relatives have awkward conversations while a huge turkey is scarfed down around a table. When I was in grade school, my history books depicted the first Thanksgiving meal as a peaceful gathering between white European settlers and Native American people. But there is a lesser-known truth behind this narrative. This Thanksgiving origin story that I was taught in school was a revisionist and whitewashed version of what actually happened. Following the arrival of Christopher Columbus on the shores of America in 1492, a steady stream of white European families traveled across the Atlantic Ocean to settle in this new territory. At first, they were ill-equipped to handle the harsh realities of its wilderness and climate, but indigenous tribes fed them and taught them how to grow corn and other crops to live on the land. Then, everything took a turn for the worse. This is where the revisionist whitewashing in this story happens, because it was not a peaceful coexistence between Native American tribes and white colonial settlers. Empowered by their religious beliefs and a racist disdain for the indigenous tribes, white European settlers murdered and stole from the indigenous communities who had been thriving on this land for thousands of years and multiple generations. These colonial settlers destroyed indigenous cultures by eradicating them, and even sold captive tribal members off to slavery. This brutal and racist genocide continued throughout the expansion of the United States westward to the Pacific Ocean. Five-term governor of Plymouth Colony, William Bradford, described Native Americans as savage people who are cruel, barbarous, and most treacherous. At every level, the settlers were intent on vilifying and disempowering indigenous people. Thanksgiving has been whitewashed as a symbol of kind gratitude expressed by the white European settlers toward Native tribes. This revisionist history only serves to silence the stories and voices of the millions of indigenous people who were slaughtered under a heartless and cruel colonialist agenda. Since 1970, the United American Indians of New England have carried out a National Day of Mourning during the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday. This is what they have to say about it. Thanksgiving Day is a reminder of the genocide of millions of Native people, the theft of Native lands, and the relentless assault on Native culture. Participants in National Day of Mourning honor Native ancestors and the struggles of Native peoples to survive today. It is a day of remembrance and spiritual connection, as well as a protest of the racism and oppression which Native Americans continue to experience. As you enjoy your turkey over Thanksgiving, you have the power to acknowledge the impossibly sad and deeper truth behind the occasion. Talk about it and share this truth, or perhaps do not even celebrate the holiday at all. People often say that ignorance is bliss. I would take this a step further and say that ignorance is a complete lack of compassion. We need more compassion in the world. Compassion toward the indigenous survivors who continue to face this oppression. Within our hearts and minds, we need compassion that honors the lives and dignity of the millions of murdered indigenous people of America.
It says, honor the truth of Thanksgiving. All right. We cannot unsee what we've seen on how the colonizer have not only have done this to the Native Americans here in America, but we have to study history in depth to know and understand that who were those Native Americans that were here. We're not talking about the $5 Indian. All right. We're not talking about the $5 Indian that Dane Calloway so eloquently kind of put out there for us to study and take a second and third, matter of fact, a third look. All right. So, okay, cool. Got you. All right. So let's understand what we're talking about here when we're talking about the idea of Thanksgiving. I'm so used to calling this thing Thanksgiving. All right. So what I'm trying to do right here is lay a base, simply because this is a very sensitive subject to those that have lost family members. When I say lost family members, I'm talking about physically lost hundreds of thousands of people that were slaughtered. So then when people like you do, you can go back several generations in your family tree, in your family history, and you can locate grandma's mom or grandma's grandmother. All right. When we're talking about the native black indigenous tribes that were here, when we start to look back, we hit a wall simply because those individuals that we would have ran into that look just like our grandchildren that are coming up, we hit a wall because those individuals were murdered. All right. And then the flip side to that atrocity, that genocide, was the fact that the ones that remained were still put in schools and in camps and indoctrinated with this Western kind of philosophy and the treatment that the children received. And then not only that, we could go on to talk about the Trail of Tears, and there weren't only one Trail of Tears, there was many Trail of Tears. We could talk about the hundreds of thousands of acres of land that was stolen from the Native Americans. And then through all of that, the whole idea of them turning around and claiming that they are the Native Americans to reap the benefit. So it's a lot deeper than what we can possibly say on here right now. So I'm saying to you, do a deeper research and educate yourself to the degree when you do have this discussion, you can take those particular individuals back through history, back through time, so we can get the history correct. And this is what we mean by, yes, we can change the past by changing the history books. All right. Simply because the vast majority of young white people in this country don't know. They don't know. They don't know. They're looking at Western movies on television thinking that the Indians that they're seeing on the TV are the original Native Americans that the land was taken from. No, those would be the $5 Indians. All right. So we could talk about all the uprisings, all those particular individuals, all those individuals that have fought against the colonizer. All of those tribes that banded together, all of those tribes. Wait, somebody put this answer up in the chat for me. How many Native American nations, tribal nations, were there operating successfully in the United States before the colonizer came? All right. Okay. Let me give a shout out to all the Native Americans out there that are Blackfoot. Can y'all name the tribes for me while we're doing that? All right. My blood. See, a lot of y'all say, well, I got Indian in my family. You got Indian in your family? You part Indian? Well, what nation? What tribe? Just because you take some damn Vaseline and slick down your baby hair, that don't mean you got Indian in your family. Come on. Don't do that. I remember that was a thing back in the day, to say that you got Indian in your family because you use Dax or you use Vaseline. Cherokee tribe checking in. Now, y'all got to help me with these names, Quan. The Homa tribes. All right. The Blackfoot Native American tribe checking in. All right. Don't give me this thing about you have native blood, but you can't tell me anything about any native tribe. Seminoles checking in. All right. The Creek checking in. Homa. Oh, got you, Quan. Homa. Blackfoot, my peoples. Well, we in the same tribe. I don't want to hear that garbage about you mixed. Now, talk to me about your tribe. Now, y'all got to help me with some of these names. Y'all know. All right. IG, where y'all at? I'm waiting for y'all over here on IG. Give me the Native American tribes. All right. Salute. Tahinos. I'm seeing it. The Mayans, Black American. Dang, need to know. Apache, Comanche, Seminole, Cree, Creek, Crow, Navajo, Sioux. All right. Cherokee checking in again. The Wampanoag Nation lived on here in what people call Boston. All right. The Wampanoag was in. Okay. I've learned a lot from the. Now, you know, I don't know how to pronounce that. Often called the Mohawk people. All right. Got you. And we got a lot of Cherokee out there. Blackfoot, Choctaw. All right. If you're unaware about what tribe that your people were connected to, all right, this is a good place to start where you can go back and do that. All right. There were many nations operating prior to the colonizer coming. All right. Many nations. And then even when Lakota, shout out to the Lakota people. All right. The Iroquois tribe. All right. So we have to understand and know history. All right. And now see, this is whitewash revisionist history that hold on. This is whitewash revisionist history that's being shoved down the throat of our children. But because we may not either have the knowledge or the time to educate them at home about the true history of Thanksgiving, here's where we kind of shirking our duty and responsibility of educating the masses of our people. Hold on. 80% of the people are not from Africa, and that's a damn Bill. Bill, that's for you to kind of decide for yourself, Bill. I can't Yeah, I think I don't know what the percentage, Bill, but yeah. Yeah. Cherokee Nation, Choctaw, the Chickasaw, pardon me. Choctaw. Okay, I got you. Arawak. All right. Got you. All right, so I hope everyone understands it. So let's dive into and let's take it a little bit further. I don't know what Bill talking about. For real.
The first Thanksgiving. American schools generally teach a conventional story about the meeting of Pilgrims and Indians that finished with an amazing dinner. The end. But there's more to the tale. This video will explain the events around the first Thanksgiving and how it's not the image ingrained in tradition. At the start of the 17th century, southern New England was home to a variety of busy communities within several confederations. These were the people of the first light, and they called their home the Dawnland. Political leaders were known as sachems and had been trading with Europeans for over 100 years before the Pilgrims. Relations soured only after deceitful Europeans kidnapped locals to sell as slaves. Permanent European settlement was impossible due to the already high population of native occupants. But in 1616, tradesmen introduced a disease to the Dawnland, whose inhabitants died in droves from a lack of immunity. In 3 years, up to 90% were wiped out in several confederations, including the Wampanoag. Their head sachem, Massasoit, was aware of how close they were to being subjugated by their unafflicted enemy, the Narragansett. He was determined to save his people from such a fate. This was the political world the Pilgrims were about to enter. The Pilgrims were not called Pilgrims by their contemporaries. They were known as Separatists, a branch of the English Puritans. King James hated Puritans and began persecuting them in 1604, so the Separatists fled to Holland, where they were free to worship. But because they feared losing their national and communal identity, the congregation wanted a new place to plant their church. They decided on America and asked King James for a patent that would grant them rights to build a colony. They planned to make a profit catching fish to pay off the debts to their investors. The Mayflower set sail on September 6th. 2 months later, Cape Cod was spotted and 16 men were sent ashore to inspect the area. Unfortunately, the settlers didn't know how to fish and food was running out. They resorted to stealing from graves, homes, and storage pits to keep everyone alive. Then came their first hostile encounter with natives, but no one was killed. On December 12th, they reached New Plymouth. They did not land on any specific rock, but folklore insists they did. Construction began in January. By winter's end, 44 settlers would be dead from bad conditions. In March, they were surprised when a man named Samoset walked into New Plymouth, greeting them in English. He told them they were building on top of a village called Patuxet, whose residents had all died from the recent epidemic. It belonged to the Wampanoag, and their chief, Massasoit, was watching them. The settlers were eager to trade, so 5 days later, Samoset returned with furs and companions, including Tisquantum. Known famously as Squanto, he had come to tell them in perfect English that Massasoit had arrived. After years of dealing with Englishmen, the sachem did not trust the newcomers. Edward Winslow was sent to be a hostage and declared the settlers' peaceful intentions. Satisfied, Massasoit walked into New Plymouth and was regally greeted by the governor. A peace treaty was created, ensuring mutual protection if attacked by enemies. With the help of Squanto, New Plymouth settlers began to fare better. He taught them how to grow crops and was absolutely vital as an interpreter. To the Separatists, he was a gift from God. But in fact, Squanto had been kidnapped from Patuxet in 1614 and shipped to Spain to be sold into slavery. He ended up in London at the home of a merchant who taught him English and arranged for Squanto's return to the Dawnland in 1619. But Patuxet was now gone, wiped away by the epidemic. Massasoit took him in with suspicion because of his years abroad, but needed a translator to parley with the newcomers. He eventually sent his warrior Hobamok to live among the settlers and keep an eye on Squanto. By fall, the settlers had a bountiful harvest and a feast was held to celebrate. Massasoit showed up with 90 warriors and 5 deer for the meal. For 3 days, the English and Wampanoag ate and entertained one another. This was the famous first Thanksgiving children learn about in school. However, the word Thanksgiving would not have been used by these settlers to denote a harvest feast. For Puritans, a day of Thanksgiving was a day of fasting while giving thanks to God in prayer. But the story of Pilgrims and Indians does not end here. During New Plymouth's first year, Squanto had been up to something. Realizing his substantial power as the only English speaker of his people, he conceived a plan to overthrow Massasoit. He persuaded locals he could command the English to make war or peace at his will. Hobomock was suspicious of Squanto and warned Governor Bradford. Soon enough, they discovered Squanto's plot and informed Massasoit, who was furious. He demanded Squanto be handed over for a swift execution. Bradford refused. The interpreter was too valuable to give up. But according to the treaty, Squanto's life belonged in the hands of his sachem. Bradford finally conceded. He was about to hand over Squanto when an unidentified ship appeared. The alarm it caused delayed Bradford and worried Massasoit's envoys. Angered and impatient, they left. The ship carried 60 Englishmen planning to build a colony near Boston. They abused the Massachusetts locals, initiating a conspiracy to kill the colonists. Warned about the plot, New Plymouth's leaders launched a preemptive strike to save their impudent countrymen. It bought peace for a time. In that time, more Puritan settlers arrived, soon outnumbering the natives. And while the Pilgrims' treaty with Massasoit lasted until the sachem's death, other Puritans were not concerned with such alliances. Their fanatic religious principles ensured no peace between the two cultures could last. To Puritans, Native Americans were the other, wild, savage, godless. With such an ideology, the outcome was inevitable. If they did not convert to Christianity and surrender their cultural identity, they had to be eliminated. The first Thanksgiving was a brief moment of harmony between two worlds, but sadly it was short-lived. The capitalist opportunities the Dawnland presented, combined with zealous puritanical beliefs, were incentive enough to wipe away the native inhabitants. There is nothing wrong with sharing a feast of thanks with loved ones, but remember the true events that started the holiday, and not the fairy tale.
All right. All right. Hold on. All right. These are just some of the things and some of the places where you can start. All right. You can start where I'm starting today to get a basic idea. All right. To get a basic idea of where to go and use that as a basis and kind of go from there simultaneously. And at the same time, you can go look at your family history. All right. Sir Jinx, what's good with you, good bro? All right. Jinx is in the building. So let's understand this particular dynamic and how this is working. All right. Quan, I am trying to get you back in. Hold on. No. Anyway. All right. Okay, cool. Go on. All right. I made a mistake and blocked Quan. Yeah. I was trying to get her back. But anyway, all right, fam. So like I said, this is a good place to start. All right. So we can kind of go from here. And then there are books that are out there. There's a package that I put together dealing with this particular subject to give you a well-rounded understanding on this particular subject and where you can kind of go from here, dealing with the past, the present, and how we can kind of navigate this particular subject in any setting in the future. All right. So this package I put together, if you want the package, send me an email, seriousmindsinfo@gmail.com, or just text me 678-557-2919. All right. All right. Okay. All right. So I think Okay, cool. All right, so send me the information. See, I'm gonna turn this camera that way. No, don't do it over there. Don't do it over there. Just keep it, bro. Thank you very much. Wait, what is this?
It's a matcha latte.
It's a matcha latte.
Yes.
And you made it? Story made
Coconut
it?
creamer. Story made that for you.
Coconut creamer matcha latte.
Season.
All right. Anyway, thank you. Really appreciate that. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. Anyway, so let's take another deeper look. All right. Hold on for a second. Let me share my screen. Boy, a lot be going on. A lot. Okay. Let me see. Let's see. Here. Yada, yada, yada. Let's go here. We're going to share. All right. Let's go here.
Good afternoon, sisters, brothers, and siblings. Once again, on so-called Thanksgiving Day, United American Indians of New England and our supporters are gathered on this hill to observe a National Day of Mourning for the indigenous people murdered by settler colonialism and imperialism worldwide. Today marks the 53rd time we have gathered here to mourn our ancestors, tear down settler mythologies, and speak.
All right, that definitely wasn't me. Something is actually.
Thanksgivings ago, my grandfather, an Aquina Wampanoag man named Wamsutta Frank James, was invited by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to speak at a banquet celebrating the 350th anniversary of the arrival of the Pilgrims. The organizers of the banquet no doubt imagined that Wamsutta would sing the praises of the American settler colonial project and thank the Pilgrims for bringing civilization to these shores. However, the speech that Wamsutta wrote, which was based on historical fact rather than the sham version of history perpetuated in the Thanksgiving myth, was a far cry from complimentary.
Right.
In his speech, Wamsutta not only named atrocities committed by the Pilgrims, but also reflected upon the fate of the Wampanoag at the hands of the settler invaders. The speech contained a powerful message of Native American pride. "Our spirit refuses to die," wrote Wamsutta. "Yesterday, we walked the woodland paths and sandy trails. Today, we must walk the macadam highways and roads. We are uniting. We stand tall and proud, and before too many moons pass, we'll right the wrongs we have allowed to happen to us." When state officials saw an advance copy of Wamsutta's speech, they refused to allow him to deliver it, saying that the speech was too inflammatory. They told him he could speak only if he were willing to offer false praise of the Pilgrims.
Wow.
The organizers even offered to write a speech for him, one which would better fit with their settler colonialist narrative. But Wamsutta refused to have words put into his mouth. His suppressed speech was printed in newspapers across the country, and he and other local Native activists began to plan a protest. The flyer for this protest, which was circulated nationwide, read, "What do we have to be thankful for? The United American Indians of New England have declared Thanksgiving Day to be a national day of mourning." On so-called Thanksgiving Day 1970, Wamsutta and members of at least 25 tribes, as well as a sprinkling of non-Native allies, gathered here on this hill and observed the first National Day of Mourning. That first year, my grandfather never got a chance to deliver his speech, although some who do not know our history say he did. Up to 200 Native people and allies gathered on that day. They spoke out about the Pilgrim invasion and conditions in Indian country, marched around Plymouth, boarded the Mayflower II, and even buried Plymouth Rock. One leader of the American Indian movement would later say of the first National Day of Mourning that it is a day American Indians won't forget, We went to Plymouth for a purpose, to mourn since the landing of the Pilgrims, the repression of the American Indian, and to indict the hypocrisy of a system that glorifies that repression. The founders of National Day of Mourning could not have foreseen that generations would continue to gather here year after year, carrying on this tradition.
The National Day of Mourning. All right. So before I open up to the chat, should this be a National Day of Mourning? All right. So then I'm going to lay a few questions out there. Let's talk. So what should we be thankful for? Living in America after what we have been through, what should we be thankful for? All right. And how many of us just don't have a basic knowledge of Thanksgiving? Of course, if we wasn't on social media, this conversation would sound a little bit different. What tends to happen with social media, they tend to kind of put you in a box where, and then have you use their language, only the language that's acceptable according to their community guidelines, and put you in the box and then have you speak in those particular terms. That's a hell of a thing there, man. I think Malcolm said it best. Operate only in the confines of the rules and regulations that your enemy set up. Which is, yeah, no. My methods are unconventional methods. My methods are not just try to use the King's English and debate with you on these particular subjects. You set the rules up. So we have to come with facts that's told by you. This is why I'm playing so many clips today, because if you just heard it raw, like you've been hearing it raw for all these years from people like myself, yeah, I don't know how much of that is going to sink in. All right. For real. So, yeah. Yep. So, let me read some of the comments. Teamwork, make the dream work. Okay. What is the dream? It's the question I asked. What is the dream? Hold on, let me take a picture of that. What is the dream? Bristol, UK here for the cooking. Well, let's cook it up then. Blackzilla. What up, Griff? Peace. What's up? Y'all checking in kind of late. I come on at 12 noon. This broadcast is almost over, and I didn't get a chance to dive into some of the things I want to dive into. But I did put a package together in reference to having all of this information consolidated into one or maybe 5 PDFs that I'm sending out to individuals that want to at least get a deeper understanding of what this is about. Walaikum salam, good bro. Tiny the barber, peace to the God. What's good with you? All right. Thank you. Who else? Don't say nothing bad about the invasion. Well, if you're talking about the colonizer, the same thing that was done to the Native American was done all around the world. So we're not making it up. So you can look around the world at these people's behavior, and you can see it's the same kind of behavior. You understand what I'm saying? Same kind of behavior. Oh, give thanks. U.S. corporation capitalized off thank. Foxy Moon, I'm not sure where you're going with that. So what I say, if you're going to actually, if you still accustomed to what your grandmama did and her not knowing, and you still feel you want to eat, why can't you eat today? This was the day prior to the slaughters, prior to the colonizer, prior. Eat today, have that discussion, all right? And then tomorrow, have that discussion. Now listen, do me a favor and do yourself a favor. Don't have that discussion if grandma's at the table. We don't want to upset grandma. She don't know. All right, she about 90 right now, and we want to keep grandma here on this side of the dirt. All right? But if the baby's at the table, all right, put Big Mama up, put grandma up, and then have the discussion with the little ones. All right, so they'll know. Because then you're going to turn around on Black Friday, and that's a whole nother discussion that we need to have on Black Friday. That's a whole nother discussion. Then you got Cyber Monday. Then you got take the shit back to the goddamn store that don't fit and you don't like and broke and didn't find the right batteries for on Saturday, whatever day that is. They weren't clever enough to give you the name of that day. So we need to figure all of this thing out because now we're locked in a commercialized box, a commercialized consumer box. And you're not going to buy your way and purchase your way into freedom. You're not going to purchase your way. You're not going to swipe and tap your credit card into freedom. You're not going to tap your credit card into liberation. That's just not going to happen. You mean to tell me you're going to buy your way out of this mind state that you're in? You're going to consume your way out of it? That's not going to happen. So we might as well kind of put the seatbelt on, do some serious research, do some studying, sit down with one another, all right? Hold on. We might as well sit down with one another so we can have the discussion on, this is the start, this is the beginning, this is the reference point, all right? So you cannot unsee this, you can't unhear this. I played 4 or 5 clips already for you to get it from 4 or 5 different angles, as opposed to it coming from Griff. Because if it was coming from Griff, I had some serious articles that I could have pulled up and we could have dove into those. You understand what I'm saying? But you see, if I would have done that, then you would have hit me upside the head and you would have said, okay, Professor Griff. Come on, bro. Why you got to be so hard? All we're trying to do is we got the day off. We have one day off. We got to go back to work. We're just trying to have a decent meal. Blah, 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 blah. And yeah. So all of y'all that was vegan, y'all hit the reset button and y'all went back to eating meat tomorrow. All right? What about the cost of Thanksgiving? Most of y'all just want to sit back. Ain't that football game coming on tomorrow night? I don't know who playing, but yeah. Y'all are there with that too. So now you eating, you fat, beer guts and all watching the game, remote control revolutionaries. Now you got the remote, you full, sweet potato pie, cranberry sauce, macaroni and cheese, turkey leg, thigh, butt, gut, whatever. Family, come on. Come on. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to do something different this year. We're going to align our spirit with the Native Americans, regardless of what their complexions are. All right? because some of them need to be educated also in reference to the Black Indians or Native Americans. All right? We need to have that discussion also. All right? We don't have time for that discussion right now. This is why it's very important for us to create our own spaces so we can have these discussions. All right? So right now, I have a team of people that's looking into the app, and along with that's looking into a website where we can go. I don't care if it's Discord or Rumble or wherever we need to go to have this conversation, to set up an environment to have this conversation. You see, when we come on here, this is only the daggone commercial, because you know we cannot really truly have the discussion that I know we need to have with one another to unravel, to unlearn in order to learn on these platforms right here. Because as soon as I say what it really is, they putting me in either internet jail or Instagram jail or Facebook jail or Facebook prison or YouTube jail. You know that's what's going to happen. All right? There is a book, Black Indians. All right? You can get it. You can start there. All right? There's hundreds. I said hundreds of links. All right? That you could click on. Hold on. That you can click on. Let me show you. That'll give you the information. There are some people that are telling the truth out there, and we can tap into them. All right? This book right here, Black Indians. Let's pull it up. The Zen Education Project, Black Indian. This other book here, Black Indians, A Hidden Heritage. All right? So there's information that we can pull up where you can begin. All right? Then you can begin to cross-reference. All right? Any more comments before we close out? Damn, Kelvin, you said your granny pissed you off? Don't get mad at grandma. Grandma don't know. Grandma know that she's mixed with some native blood, though. So rather than getting grandma angry and mad and you getting mad at grandma and granddad, all right, sit down at their feet and get some of them stories so we can begin to piece this thing apart. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Angela. Wow. Richie, I'm glad you're saying that. I hope you don't mind me putting it up. You read somewhere years ago that there were black people in the Caribbean before Europeans invaded. Yeah. There's no place on the planet that you cannot find the footprint of the black man and woman. Regardless of what you think you want to call us. Not you, Richie, but I'm saying all these other people with this newfound freedom, newfound enlightenment. All right. When I say black, black is the umbrella. Everything of who you call us and who you say we are falls up under that umbrella. You say you want to call us the Moors? I'll take that. You want to call us indigenous, black people? I'll take that. You want to call us Hebrews? You want to call us Nubians? You want to call us Nubians? You want to call us Kemetarians, Kemites? I'll take all of that. We still black. Black is the essence. All right? That's not something coming out from in. That's something coming in out. We were Africa before Africa was Africa. I hope you got that. Thank you. Before it was named Africa, before it was named anything, the essence of us was there, and the essence of us was here. All right. As we close, family, if anyone wants the information, please contact your brother, Professor Griff. Give a small donation, and I'll send the information out to you. All right. Each one teach 3. All right. Revolution is not an event. It's a process. Love you all to life, fam. This is Professor Griff. All right. Peace. Shout out to Kalanji. Shout out to Black Power Media. Reloaded. All right. This is Arm the Masses with your brother, Professor Griff. Once again, text me. My phone number is 678-557-2919. I started to say something else about this comment, but I said, no, let me be cool. All right. Okay. Peace, fam. Bye.